This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
And with that, I will call to order this meeting of the Easthampton Planning Board for Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. All members are in person and we are recording. First item on the agenda is public speak. Is there anyone who would like to speak to anything not on the agenda tonight? Anybody online, Dylan, or?
No one online.
All right, moving right along to the continued public hearing for Sherry Ladiola, special permit for a food truck court at 114 Northampton Street. Please update us a little bit. You got a lot more materials. I gotta have you stand by the microphone just so we can record you. But
Sure.
Please let us know what these new submissions are and what's been going on, sort of to address some of our questions from last time.
Question.
Oh.
Has the TV position been shifted? Is that intentional?
I think it was intentional to shift for the audience, but I can shift it for you folks, but easier
That
for
would
you.
be helpful.
Dan's got it.
Thank you.
Oh, boy. Yeah, we don't even need to see it, just so it's not
the other
blocking
end I
her.
need to push back. Thank you. I appreciate you so much, but I can't see her. So if that end can go back.
There you go.
Thank you. Better.
Yeah.
That's it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
You're
there we
awesome.
go.
Hi,
Hi.
thank you for having me again. So the last time I was here, I was applying for a food truck park in 114 Northampton Street, Easthampton, the Saranac parking lot. And you wanted me to bring some more detailed mapping for traffic flow and everything that's gonna go on the food truck park, and also an agreement that I could, like an HOA kind of thing where the food truck vendors can sign, and basically our mutual agreement together as we collaborate in this project and the daily operations of the food truck. So I think I'm gonna start with the map. And then I could show you how it works out so far. Actually, last week, Mr. Maxfield and Captain Dan Constantine was with me at the parking lot, and we took a look at the spaces and measuring the parking spaces and plan out the flow of the traffic as you requested, where the food trucks would go, where would be the eating spaces, and how many parking spots we're going to put in there with the lines. Okay, so this is the map that's on the TV right now. So if you can see, the Northampton Street is on the right side. Do you want me to go over there and point things, or is this?
I think we can see, we have them in front of us too, so I think
Okay,
that's all
so
right.
yeah. So as you enter on the right side, if you're looking at the food truck park, on the right side will be the entry point, the entryway. On the very, very right side is basically where all the food trucks. We're going to start with, for phase one, probably 3 to 4 food trucks. To basically just see and feel how it is, and to eventually also add 2 more food trucks for the full lineup. Mr. Cernak has agreed to create or put more electricity outlets there for every food truck that's gonna come in. And so we've also asked Captain Constantine to see like the 10 feet, sorry, the 10 feet buffer between food trucks, because that's what he wanted us to do. And then there's kind of like a buffer in the back also. This is the first lane of the food truck, and then there's kind of like a pathway, and then the food truck and another row of food truck, and then the back right there is also another buffer, so that it separates the parking lot and the food truck park from each other. And then in the back of the food truck park, the food truck area is the fire lane. It's basically marked the red line in the very, very back, if you can see it. And that's gonna be for like the emergencies, vehicles that could come in. And then as you go further towards the back will be the eating area. We'll provide some tables there, but we were thinking that the customers will bring their own picnic blankets and their own chairs and just hang out. And those two red squares on the left side are the porta potties. And then we'll spread out some trash bins for waste management. And then as you go towards the parking lot, you'll see kind of the U-shaped what do you call this? The pathway in between the parking spaces for traffic flow. So that should be like 24 feet between the parking space and the other. And the other end of the parking area is the ADA. So there's one ADA parking spot. And then I think it's 10 by 18 for every spot. And we've counted 48 spaces. So the flow of traffic is pretty, like obviously it goes around like a U shape as you enter, and then it goes around and then it exits one way. So it's a one-way flow. And then, so we're thinking that in peak out, there's gonna be someone that's gonna be watching, a site manager, coordinator at all times, either me or my assistant, or we can talk to the other food vendors. And since this is a collaboration, we're gonna just assign people every day of the week that can overlook the site. And then on peak hours, we're gonna have parking attendants that would go and guide cars. So that would be like on the weekends and stuff like that. Also, every single food truck will be self-contained with their gray water tank, and they bring their own water. So, and then for the waste management, we're thinking of hiring a waste management service where they can pick up our trash, or maybe the pedal people can also be involved, and we can get their pricing and stuff like that to take care of the trash from the public. And then obviously the food trucks will bring all of their trash to their commissary kitchens. So that's so far for the planning. And then I also submitted to Dylan an HOA or an agreement. So this is essentially breaking down rules and regulations for how we're going to run the food truck park. And so if you can see on the left side, there's a lower infrastructure impact. So because everybody's gonna just bring their own water, all the electricity is gonna be, we're gonna metered, and we're gonna pay, individual vendors will pay Mr. Cernak for whatever bills we incur. So it will operate under a structured operation agreement, and then there will be an on-site coordinator that ensures compliance and order. And there will be defined vendor rules and enforcement. For safety and code compliance, 20 feet fire lane maintained at all times, so that has to be cleared. ADA parking and pedestrian access included, and then traffic flow has been clearly defined. We want to support small businesses. We want to create a community gathering space, and also activate an underused commercial space. So the hours of operation is, I would like to propose a Monday to Saturday, 11 to 9, and Sunday, 11 to 7, but that also, whatever you guys want to permit us to operate for the first year is also, we'll take it, you know. So there's gonna be, each vendor will have food permits from the health department, from the fire department. And then there has to be a general liability insurance for them. And then they can only operate only within their site. The waste management, I have mentioned that we're gonna hire someone to take care of the waste management. We're not gonna get a dumpster right now because I just feel like there's not a lot of space right now for it. And I kind of want to see what is the daily operating rate before I take a dumpster, because I believe we have to fence it and do all of that stuff. So we're just gonna do the dumpster service right now. The waste management service right now, where they just come pick up the trash on a daily basis. So noise and community standards, there won't be any music this year, but I'm hoping that we can have that eventually, but I don't know how it's gonna go. If it's enough what it is right now, then we'll keep it that way. So we wanna obviously maintain the positive relationship with surrounding businesses. So we're not gonna have excessive noise, music, or disruptive behavior. We may need generators for emergency uses, but for instance, if there's a short or something like that, because that's sometimes it's inevitable. So we could probably use a generator, but not for like the duration of the whole time. So fire and safety compliance, Easthampton Fire Department regulations, proper propane storage and handling requirements. And then we're gonna work with Captain Dan on that one and make sure that everything is safe and abide by the regulations of the fire department. And that we've provided the 20 feet fire lane so that it's easy for them to go in and out if there are any emergencies. So we have provided the ADA compliant parking space, and that will be maintained at all times. And pedestrian pathways must remain accessible at all times. So the assignment of spaces. So initially, I will have to decide that where everybody goes, and just just to kind of like, I don't think it's going to be such a huge issue, like the spacing of the food truck, as long as we follow the 10 feet in between the food trucks and wherever they're supposed to be. And then we're gonna, obviously, if there's anybody who's gonna violate the rules, we're gonna give them a warning, and we're not gonna let them vent anymore. For liability, we're definitely, each food truck, as I know, have a liability insurance, each one of them. And for their operations, for their employees, workman's comp. And as a site coordinator, I'm also going to get a liability insurance for myself. So everybody's going to have that coverage. And for the utilities, so electricity will be provided with the outlets. And as I've mentioned, we'll take care of that with the bills with Mr. Cernak. Wastewater is going to be in approved containers, and they're gonna dispose the gray water offsite in their own commissary kitchen. Each food vendor will have, they have to have a commissary kitchen, so they will be able to dump their wastewater over there, and any oil that they bring on site, they have to remove it and not dump it anywhere there. And the water supplies, they have to bring their own, because like we have our own potable, like it's a contained, most food trucks are gonna have like containment. And if they're gonna be in a tent, they're probably just gonna bring barrels of water with them. Yeah, so if the parking gets full, we'll have a sign that the parking is full. and there's no entry anymore until there's space for cars to flow in again. I've talked to Mr. Cernak about the lighting. I think those posts have lights, and we're gonna add Edison lightings for more lighting and ambient lighting for this space. Restroom, we're gonna have a porta potty, and they service that. Once you rent a porta potty, they come and service. I think it's part of their services. So we're gonna try to maintain the cleanliness and the orderliness of, the operation as much as we can. We're gonna learn as we go, but as long as we have these regulations, I think people will work with each other. So it's only a seasonal condition, so we're thinking of ending it by either November 1st or November 15, weather permitting. And every vendor that's gonna go in there will be briefed, and we'll have they have to be approved. There will be a process that but we have this really small community, and we know each other, and we work with each other all the time. So, we still, if there are any other food trucks that are coming out that we don't know, we're gonna have to go through a tedious process to get them in. So all signage is going to comply with the zoning regulations, so that it's not blocking anything. And the vendors will have signages, but it has to be contained in their spaces and not just, all over the place. So I think that's pretty much it. I've discussed the parking, if it's full, and the site coordination, which is the number 26, item 26 on the list. So we're hoping for your permission to do this, because I think it's going to be really great for the town and also for the food truck community.
Thank you. Questions from the board? James?
You wanna go first? We can go in order.
Okay. Can you talk about the waste again? Like,
Yeah.
you're there during let's say between, you said 11 and 9.
Mhm.
Let's say the buckets or the cans are all filled up. When does the waste person come around and pick it up and dump it?
Mhm. Yeah, so each food truck will take care of their own waste.
Okay.
And the receptacles that are gonna be in the picnic area is the one that the waste management's gonna come and pick up. So their services, so I'm gonna have to talk to them about it and make sure that gets emptied out
What's your idea? Once a week, once a day,
every day.
every day?
Yeah, I
every day.
think that what I'm envisioning is a condition that would say that at the end of every day, the waste will either be removed or in a dumpster. And that
Right.
way, if and when you decide you need a dumpster, you can lock it up in there. But otherwise, I think we're gonna have to make sure those get emptied at the end of every day.
Mhm. Yeah, it will be an everyday thing, and it's just a matter of arranging it with the waste management that we're gonna hire.
Okay, that answered my question.
Just to kind of riff on that in this discussion here, if they add a dumpster, do you think that would trigger them having to come back to the board to make sure it's?
No, so I would do a condition, well, we could say that, that it will either be it'll be removed every day or placed in a screened in dumpster, something like that. We could do that, because I don't want to make them have to come back for that, but I would think that would be relatively minor, but it would have to be a screened dumpster.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's probably how I would suggest we handle that.
Or,
Oh, no, I'm good.
okay, I got it.
James does.
First, I would just like to ask the board, and you, who made this?
He
That was
helped
you, Dylan?
me, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And this is by far the only design I've seen. It's close to a real design. So thank you, planning board.
Yeah,
planning
Dylan
department
has
for-
been very
for
good
doing-
and supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has real measurements, and I was afraid coming into this that I was gonna have to say, I still don't have a plan. I need a stamp by an engineer, but this gets me close enough. I do have a couple questions here. And I just want to say this as well. It does get me close enough so that like I'll even consider really voting in favor now, but it's still not an official plan. And I just want you to know that does still give me some hesitancy. It's not stamped by an engineer. We're being asked, one of the big issues here is to create a waiver in this for you for the parking spots in a time and situation where there's been a lot of development on Northampton Street recently in that specific area. And there's a lot of community discourse about traffic flow. And I'm very worried about that. I know we're going to discuss that, but one of the things that you said was signage when it's full. I very much recommend some kind of addendum on that saying no on-street parking.
Okay,
Because if your lot's full, what are they going to do?
for sure,
And that'll create a real problem right there in that area.
definitely.
Other issues that I had, the lighting. I believe the lights are controlled on the Cernak side, not by you. So just making sure that they're actually powered at night when you're operating.
Yes.
That's something I'd be concerned about. I don't know what these plans are.
That was just to give you an idea at nighttime, if there are any, like just the lighting that we're gonna put for the Edison lighting. It's just a sample.
Okay.
It's just a sample. But Mr. Saranac knew about that we're adding some more lighting in there, and that he's gonna have to add another socket for that as well.
That context helps a lot
Yeah,
for
yeah.
lighting. So I really didn't know. I did take a look at the property card because this map shows us a little bit. These didn't. But you can see there's an angled side. This is your old plan, but it
Yeah.
clearly shows the
Right.
angle of the lot. And I'm kind of curious about, because what I'm seeing here from what you had is that you left a 20-foot center here, kind of bringing this down a little bit to just be 20 feet in between where you previously had picnic tables. And you cut down this buffer a little more to create some extra space in the parking because you needed more. But I'm curious about this back food truck and how close to the property line it is. And are you aware of how close it is? And can we make sure that there's enough of a buffer before the property line?
Right, yeah, so we were there last week and we did the measuring. Captain Dan brought a measuring thing, and we did measure everything from the property line to the main space.
All right, so you're saying it is sufficient, there's a
Yes.
sufficient buffer there.
Yes, correct.
Maybe 10, I'm guessing
It
you don't
should
know the
be.
number off the top of
Yeah,
your head.
because we also need the back for our stuff. Sometimes we put some stuff in the back of the food truck, but
All right, I might circle back to that. I want to talk a little bit about, you said that you're going to start with 3 or 4 trucks initially.
yeah, we're thinking of at least 4.
So would you start in the back or the front for those placement of these 6 possible spots? Which are the ones that you'll fill
We're
up
probably
first?
gonna start from the back.
Okay, so these front 2 here would be empty spots. Is the intention with regard to laying in power for it to be an underground thing? Mr. Cernak's going to apply power underground through posts, or how is power going to get to those locations?
There is a post right there that is connected to
One,
like a post, yeah, one post.
which of the,
I think it's this guy here, that light.
got it. So it's going to be, it's on the edge. And then you're going to run wires to all the trucks in between them?
So we're gonna probably put the truck on one side for now, and then just have it connecting to the outlet. You know what I'm saying?
So the ones on this side are close enough to be run to it. If you're going to do 4, the front 2 on each side, that means that there's going to be wires crossing the central area that the fire trucks will have to.
Right, but in the music festivals, they have those coverage for the wires and
Yep.
stuff, so we'll be providing those for
Okay.
people.
And then I wanted to ask a little bit about the curb cuts. You can kind of just barely see that there might be some kind of curb cut pre-existing there. Does anyone know about that driving through that area? My memory is that there were like no curb cuts and
There's,
I think there are,
We went to the site, yeah, those were the
Those
curb cuts that were
2.
there, those two large ones there.
but isn't there a third one sort of in the middle? Like, that was one of my questions, was about the traffic flow. Like, no, that's what I was gonna get. I mean, like this actually, the curb cuts shown on this one actually is sort of what I think is there, right? There's like basically 3 ways into that section.
I don't
He's
know
looking at
where
this,
which.
he's looking at this right here, which shows 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll pull it up on the screen as well, but in your packet here, I think this near map image kind of shows it best, where you can actually really see that there's those kind of two large curb cuts there, and then you can actually see the curb on the rest of
Yeah.
it.
Well, oh, so there's 2 of them.
Okay.
There is 2, and then we can also put a sign that says enter here, exit here, and then we can put it on the ground as well.
So if I'm understanding right, though, are you going to be, because where you have this now, it looks like your flow is coming in here, going over and then up and around and out. The out seems to fit the curb cut, but the in would seem to necessitate modifying the existing curb cut. Am I making sense?
Well, we made sure that
I think that curb cut, it's
Or is it this?
I think that's why they're cutting in down here into the food truck thing and then cutting across,
Because
that's
this is,
where it is.
this is the curb cut right here, right? Here
Yeah.
and here, am I correct? Did I get these right?
Yeah.
Fill in, there and there are the curb cuts, I marked them with my pen.
Yep, and then you've got a little curb right in between them.
There's one here.
Nope,
It's a
just,
curb.
the curb itself, so you have the cut right
Got it.
here.
Yeah, got it.
Here is the opening. No, these are the curb.
That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, so looking at this here, right? The entry is all the way over on the right-hand side. So my question is, does this curb cut need to be modified in order for them to enter? Or is the existing curb, I'm saying it wrong, I'm saying it inverse. Does the curb need to be modified to let them in?
My understanding here with this one, we didn't receive comments from engineering specifically about it. We did go out with our staff engineer and didn't raise any concerns. Because you have that large 43-foot just about
Here.
curb cut as the entry where people would be coming in from either taking a left in or from that right. So you kind of have that wide buffer. And the left, which is narrower, the exiting lane, but then it's only gonna be one-way traffic coming. So it would be people either turning left. or
So that confuses me more, because I thought the 43, like the purple horseshoe is actually what I thought made more sense than the drawing here that has it coming in
Yeah,
and then making a hard left and then a right. But so I'm trying to figure out what the facts on the ground are. Is this really the structure of what's gonna happen, that it's just gonna
In
be
here and out
a
there?
horseshoe
just a
in and
horseshoe.
out?
yes.
And that's what threw me
So,
off.
and that was one of my concerns too. Okay, so that makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
And it doesn't have people driving into the food trucks.
No, yeah, and we're gonna put, right, we don't want that to happen. We're gonna put a blockade to make sure that it's very well defined that this is where you
So
enter.
that was what I was gonna get into, is
Yeah.
what kind of barriers are there currently and what are you going to propose? So starting with, I guess sort of the parking lot to the left, that's fire ants. Is there just I'm trying to remember, is there a chain or some
A rope,
flower pots
yeah,
or something there,
something.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I know there's like this sort of 18-foot buffer between the food trucks and your parking. Is there anything, a wall, a fence,
So because this is a seasonal thing, we're testing it out.
Yeah.
We're probably not gonna provide a wall for now, but we have those cones that we could put along
yep,
the lines, or we could put like a cord or something like
yeah,
that.
so like those tall cones with like some yellow rope or something like that to sort of mark that spot?
Right, yeah,
Okay, and then,
just to kind of like, provide that visual.
yeah, and then we also talked last time about the barriers along Northampton Street, right? Like, how are we gonna make it clear that, because I mean, even where there is a curb, right, it's about 1/8 of an inch off
Right.
the pavement, it's not big.
Right.
So like, do you have any idea about what you're gonna put there to make it clear to people you can't cut through here, you can't cut
Yeah.
out here,
It
and like,
will probably be the same as what we're gonna use for the back of the
Okay.
truck.
okay. So I think that would probably be a condition, is that at the very least, like, we need all those boundaries to be marked with, high visibility cones and rope or something like that. To do that,
Cones are fine because we can remove it.
Yeah.
if, like, if we put something that's like,
Yeah.
there, then we can.
yeah, no, and I think that makes sense. And maybe this will become more permanent and you'll get concrete planters or whatever, but like, I don't think you need to do that right now.
Right.
I'm inclined to not allow music or entertainment
Sure.
and just have you guys come back if you want to do that, so we can evaluate how things have gone.
That's.
It's really the only thing that I'm nervous about.
Yeah, that's perfect.
enough to make you come back and modify it, cause I think, like I said, I think you might have 100 people come and sit there for the whole time and listen to music, and that will create a different
Exactly.
scene. So I think I'd like to see how that goes.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I sort of hijacked
No,
your bargaining.
it's-
What else do you have?
We're vibing. It's all good, man. I do have more. And where I'm going now is with the last holdup that I have here. And it had to do with this plan. Why was I concerned that there isn't a plan? It's because I'm worried about the parking. And I'm worried about the fact that I think you're going to be wildly successful. And I think there's going to be days where that parking lot's going to be full. And I think that, you know, on a hot summer day, people trying to park, I like a lot better this flow that I see now with more space in there, but it's still not enough spaces. And so my having to approve a
Pardon me,
wait,
enough space for
parking
what?
spaces.
Parking spaces.
Yeah, I think we're under by what? Is it 11, something like that?
11, 10, right around that area.
So that, I mean, that is why we have to issue you a waiver if we approve this special permit, right? We'd have to make an exception to the rules. You have fewer spaces than you're supposed to have for your use. So in order to kind of assuage my concerns in that, like saying, well, there's a full-fledged plan that would help. Another thing would help is knowing that the HOA is going to cover it. You've done a pretty good job, I think, drafting this. Thank you for that. I asked for it. One concern I have with it, as I finally wheel my way around to getting to the point, is that you've dictated that there's going to be a site coordinator here in this document, but you've given no way of how that site coordinator is chosen. I have to assume, and I hope it never happens, that you're going to have a sick day, or hopefully more likely a vacation day at some point when you're not there. How do they know who's going to be the coordinator? It's something that I'd love to see in this document, because just saying there has to be a site coordinator isn't going to create a management structure on the ground to make one of them step up and start doing traffic instead of frying pickle chips or whatever they're making. So that's lacking for me. It says it's in here, but it doesn't give a system by which it dictates who that is. And for me, that's the piece that's going to push me over the edge on this, to say, okay, there's a structure in place to make sure someone's watching it, to keep fights from breaking out, keep people from parking on the sides in front of you, and to manage the traffic flow.
So would you feel different? Like, I'm just thinking about similar things that we do where we have people, like, say, for cannabis dispensaries or something, right? Where we would say that the site coordinator shall be the applicant. This whole thing is going to be in your name. You're the one on the hook for the permit here, or her designee. And that is somebody that will always be there. And so she's going to have to know that if it's not her, it's somebody that she trusts, because.
I have an assistant that I could.
And I'm also thinking of a condition that incorporates, I think we'll call it their internal regulations or something, as a condition, so that, like, if those things changed, I think you would have to come back to us as well, because that's sort of what we're basing it on. But I think their internal regulations should be incorporated as conditions into the.
Because kind of what I pulled from our discussions last time is that we're not quite sure what trucks are going to show up on any given day, right? There might be some flex, and in that the HOA was going to kind of dictate that someone in there would be assigned, but, you know, need to say, maybe it's the first person who arrives, you know, maybe that's the methodology. But I think what Jesse's saying now is it isn't that. You're providing a permanent staff, that would be you or your assistant, who's always going to be there, just besides the food trucks.
Yeah.
Are we in agreement that that's what's being said?
That's correct.
And you're saying you can do that?
Well,
You or your designee or something.
yeah, or a designated person that, right now I have me and my assistant that could cover that. And then I basically have to hire someone that's going to be a more permanent person that's going to be there. You know, I have a couple of people that I know that could be there and do that, but I'm just really waiting for the permit so I can finalize all of these things, because, you know, it's hard
That's a good way
to.
to do it, is to put
Right.
her as the applicant on the hook for the site coordinator. And if you designate someone else on any given night, like, you know,
Right.
you get a vacation, that's still someone that's acting like it on your behalf, and that's still,
Right.
you're the one responsible for it.
But you get a complaint and the building inspector or someone else comes out there and there's no site coordinator, that's a violation.
Yes.
So the
Yes, I
only-
mean, I feel like it'll be important for us to, at least for the first year, to have that,
Yeah.
you know, because we'll also see how it works. If no one is watching it, then, you know, that's assigned to that job itself, then we won't know any feedback or anything like that that we need to improve on. So I think it's really important for us to have that, and eventually we'll have cameras and stuff
Yeah,
like
and
that.
you might find out, you know, a year or two into this that you really don't need it anymore. It's been going really smoothly and you come back and ask for modifications so you don't have to pay someone to be out there. But I think that's gonna be really
The
necessary to
first,
start.
the first year is critical for us to really watch it.
Yeah.
And make sure that everything is good, because, then we will know what to do the following year.
Harry?
You know, I'd like to bring up something here. We're talking about all this parking we're gonna have. They have more parking with this than we do have on Cottage Street. I don't know if they realize that or not. So we're talking some food truck. We're not talking some full-blown restaurants like they're like on Cottage.
Yeah, so it is, I mean, the closest thing we have is a drive-in or drive-through restaurant, and I do think that's part of why I'm comfortable with the waiver is that, I mean, the use is a little bit different. And I think that could cut either way, that you're more likely to sit there for longer parked, but also I think it's sort of gonna have to take care of itself. I like the flow of the parking lot. I think that even if people pull in and they don't have spots, it's not like doing a 3-point turn to get around and come back out. My one thought is whether we think it's necessary to have signage for a right turn only for people leaving.
I was thinking that, I was
Is
looking
that-
at this, I was looking at
That's
this.
what, I mean, that's that classic left turn where people try
Yeah.
to shoot the gap and they end up with an
Yes.
accident or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. So
Yeah, I think, I
I
believe,
think, and I mean, I think people will try to do that if there isn't, they'll probably still try to do it even
Right.
if there is a sign, but I think I would be more comfortable with a condition that says there'll be signage that says right turn only exiting.
that's totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we don't want any accidents.
No, I know you
So,
don't. Yeah.
We wanna
Um,
be as thorough as possible in terms of, getting people in and out safe out there.
and any other questions from board members?
For me, one thing I'd like to see, I know there are a lot of people who have disabilities and the one ADA parking spot, what if you turned the parking spot in front of the porta potty into another ADA parking spot?
We can do
That would just, I think you'd lose one parking space, but that would help out a lot of people.
I actually want to point out, I was mistaken. It's required 2 spaces. It's one for every 25, not one for every 50.
Okay.
Okay.
There would need to be a second ADA
Okay.
spot. And I think, yeah,
Do they have to be right next to each other, or we can have one in the front, one in the back, or we can rearrange the ADA to the other side, and then it's easier to just go towards the grass?
Yeah, I think that probably
Yeah.
works fine. Just looking through the possible conditions that the planning department had, I think the number 1 makes sense that, is in here. It sounds like there may be use of generators, so I think that in that case, we probably do want that 3rd one.
I suggest we word it in such a way so that we stick with number 2, but then put a but in emergency use, and then put the
Okay.
stuff for number
Okay,
3. And
that makes
you know,
sense. So the assumption will be everyone is plugging in, but if they need to, it'll be limited there. I think the directional arrows and parking spaces being lettered, that, and striped is good. Vacating the premises every day with the food trucks and removing all their waste, we need, and then any changes to this would have to come back to us to deal with as a modification or something.
That sounds good.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Planning department?
we've got Fire Captain Constantine. We also have Ryan Griffin, our health director here. So
I mean, I think there's obviously, other departments that you have to satisfy and you're well aware of that. I'm very grateful that Police Captain Constantine was out there and looking around
Thank
and giving some input. I think that's really helpful. I don't think.
And Ryan and I are gonna have a meeting tomorrow.
Okay,
on
good.
site. Yeah.
only thing I know I've been talking with Dan about that probably make aware of is where essentially staff would park. So if you have somebody hauling in a truck and they have to then park their truck, an area that's not being utilized that I think we've talked about that could make sense would be the area right up in front here. Over by that
On
curb,
the
that
food
would,
truck side.
Yeah,
that could disincentivize people from hopping that curb
Yeah.
as well. And would be an area so they're not losing parking spaces to staff parking, which
Mhm.
in a sense almost creates another 5 additional spots right
Mhm.
there to help alleviate some of that
Yeah.
traffic.
All right, any other comments or questions from the board, from the public? Still no one online, Dylan?
I think we have a couple people online. I think it's the Cernex here.
Any comments or questions from people online? Feel free to virtually raise your hand.
Seeing none.
All right. Then I think we've talked through all the conditions and this parking space waiver.
Can we just,
Yep.
we threw out a bunch of extra little conditions we want to add in there, and that's a lot to just throw on you, Dylan.
I think Dylan was typing them down as I was saying mine.
Yeah, trash pickup every day.
Yep.
And then also just including in there that a dumpster can be added and it'll have to be screened.
Yep.
But that's how trash would be handled. There must be signage that there is no on-street parking. I have all kind of the boundaries need to be marked with something such as cones or rope. And then some of these internal regs here just need to be reflected in the conditions,
I would just
specifically
say-
such as.
I would just say the internal regulations that they've provided are incorporated as reference, or as, conditions.
Yep, so I have those, and then I have the ones that I had included with then your suggestion
Yep.
of no generators except in emergencies, and when they then must be of that type.
And right turn only.
Right turn
And
only.
right turn only, yes.
And I think we should probably put a specific condition in there that says that, like, no music or entertainment unless they come back for a modification or, I mean, you don't have to say that part, but like, I think that will sort of change the use pretty dramatically, that I think we want to be explicit, because that was part of the original
You
application.
mean like no amplified music, right? 'Cause the food trucks will probably play their music while they're cooking, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking like musical performances or entertainment. Like, I think we want people to be there to have their meal
I
and,
think amplified music is a good word. If someone wants
Yeah.
to go there with a stand-up bass, that's not going to offend anyone across the street. It's not loud enough.
no, I'm more concerned about people wanting to stick around, right? Because the non-amplified music could be a
That's
folk
good.
trio playing for
Right.
3 hours.
And then
Yeah.
that place is just. gonna
And
be
then you're
full.
there for the show.
I didn't
So
think
what
of
if, what if a customer brings a guitar and just wants to like jam with their friends? That's
I mean,
not
that's like-
amplified music. It's not amplified, but
It's not amplified music, but I think
Should we
the
tell
risk
them?
is that like, it's not, I mean, because I don't think you're gonna have like a live music entertainment license or anything like that. So like, I don't think that can be part of your use.
Right.
I would say we're saying no. And what really happens is that you're, that this person who's that director, that you there is basically watching. And if someone
Yeah.
pulls out a guitar and says happy birthday or something, you let it go. And
right,
if it starts drawing a crowd and filling the lot and causing a problem, you shut it down.
okay,
Yeah, I think that you can't just be like, part of the business is entertainment. 'Cause I
Okay.
think that's a different use that probably requires a different level.
yeah, I just want to clear that up because, it's an outdoor music.
Yeah.
People can get carried away, bring their acoustic guitar or whatever, and then have a little like their jam, who knows, like that
Yeah.
could happen,
It's
so.
the alcohol situation, actually. I know you don't have alcohol licenses with the food trucks, I'm reasonably certain. My understanding is that these kinds of things, the public's allowed to bring their own alcohol in on site for this sort of thing. Is that what we?
I probably won't allow alcohol.
No alcohol.
I probably won't for now, just because I don't want any liabilities.
Are you putting up signs to that effect?
Yes, I will.
I mean, I think that's like a health department or a liquor license. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not us,
That's not
but
us.
yeah, I would check with the,
I'll double check
check with the right
with
authorities on
everybody.
that one.
I just wanna make sure that it's not chaos.
Yeah.
We're not regulating. it.
We don't, yeah,
We're not touching. it.
yeah.
Okay,
The only other thing I had was, and I don't think it should be a condition, but I'd like to just explicitly say it, is that when you put that parking lot full sign out, having something that says no on-street parking or something like that, I think is a really good idea.
okay, yeah, we will.
And if you're ready.
No, I'm good.
Just a quick question.
Oh, yeah.
To implement the dumpster, is that gonna require coming back in front of the planning board?
No, so we're gonna have a condition that says that all waste has to be removed at the end of every day or placed in a secured and screened dumpster. Are there health code regs? Is that what governs that?
No, my concern with it is I too think it's gonna be very popular.
Yeah.
I don't think the trash receptacles are gonna be enough. So there needs to be a backup plan if they overflow. So from a Board of Health perspective, I'm gonna require a dumpster at that location.
That's fine. I mean, whatever you have to do with the Board of Health, I mean, that's why my thing is, at the end of every day, all the waste has to either be locked in a secure dumpster or tracked or
Maybe-
removed.
Maybe we can help. I think you're right, but maybe we can help just a little bit in like picking a place. It's gonna be required. You just heard that. So that means you're gonna have to put a dumpster in and you're gonna have to screen it. So like us saying we're gonna allow you to, unless you have a dumpster without knowing where we may as well just pick where we're gonna put the dumpster now, if you're comfortable with that.
I mean, I think the only
Yeah.
spot is gonna be that space in front of the food trucks between Northampton Street and the food trucks, cause
Right up front.
the rest of it's fire lane or parking.
I agree. And then another thing about that I was thinking about with the picking up and the trash in the back is that you can't actually get a truck there. Someone's got to physically go and pull those out, which is moved now. So do you understand what's being said? I don't know if you can see this map here, but they're basically saying where you were talking about that employee parking, that open
Yeah.
space in front of the food trucks.
Mhm.
It seems to this board like the best place to put a dumpster and screen it in.
Yeah,
That's gonna take away from some of your employee parking, but hopefully there'll be a couple spots left at least.
right. When it comes to the dumpster, I like, does it need to be like a complicated fence in? Because the thing is, like, this is a seasonal situation. Like, I'm not sure yet if this is gonna be a long-term thing.
Yes.
And so anything that we put in there, we cannot take with us. And so that's the only concern I have. And what if we just create some sort of multiple dump stations or like a barrel, and then the dump service can just come and pick it up each time, or I can have like,
I mean, I think it sounds like the Board of Health is gonna require the
You
dumpster.
have to have
I
the
think
dumpster.
what we can say is that the trash has to be removed every day or placed in a dumpster, and if there's a dumpster, it needs to be screened from the road. Like, I think that's what we can say.
You're comfortable with not knowing where the dumpster is in the planning? I mean, they might then just throw it in one of the parking spots.
Well, I
unless
don't
the
think they can
parking spots-
alter the areas that are already assigned for other things, so I think it could either be in the front or it can be in the grassy area in the back somehow. But like, those seem like the only places that are free space, everything else is assigned and
yeah,
like required to be for something else.
I don't mean to be difficult.
No, I know, and I think, I mean, I also agree that a dumpster is gonna be necessary, and I just don't think there's gonna be a way around that. But I'm also aware that you're gonna have those conversations with the health department, and I don't really wanna like get in the middle of that either. But I do think we can say that if and when a dumpster is necessary, it needs to be screened.
And then that begs the question that you just asked. You kind of put it in two places. Do I really have to have a dumpster? Now you know the answer is yes. And then the other is like, what kind of screen? Does it have to be permanent screening? Because you're saying when you leave, you gotta go with it.
yeah,
have
that's
to
the
have a
part that
conversation with
is
Mr.
gonna be
Cernak.
expensive. The dumpster, we can rent that, that's no problem.
I think
the
the building
fencing
inspector
around.
is the one who's gonna have to sort of enforce that and figure out what that means. I mean, I wouldn't think there's any reason you couldn't get those, the fencing that just goes into the stone mounts, the concrete blocks that are on the ground, right? So that you can remove them at the end of a season or something like that.
Like just portable screens that go around.
Yeah, like the chain link fence with the slats through it, but it's instead of being put into the pavement, it's put into those concrete blocks that would go around it or something. Again, I think that's probably enforcement by the building inspector. But I think what we are saying is that like, cause we're required to have them screened, so that dumpster would need to be screened if and when you decide you need it, or the health department tells you need it, which, spoiler alert, it sounds like that's coming. But I think,
For tomorrow. but-
yeah,
Well, I
No.
was just wondering because like, this is presuming that it's going to work out, but what if it doesn't?
right, and so that's why, I
You
mean,
know,
I think
like-
the building inspector will have to talk to you about what
Right.
constitutes screening or not, but what we have to do is tell you that if you have a dumpster, it needs to be screened.
So you have that condition already and you'll tweak it a little bit for this.
Okay.
In that case, unless there's further.
Good, okay.
Good day, we have enough picnic tables?
It sounds like picnic tables are gonna be optional, cause they're gonna be proposing people bring their own chairs and blankets and sit in the grass.
Okay.
I motion to approve the special permit for retail service for 114 Northampton Street, including a waiver for parking spaces and the aforementioned conditions.
Second.
All right, voting to grant the special permit. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? All right, we'll get a written
Aye.
decision out to you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good
And
luck.
for the record,
Thank you, guys.
Dylan saved you with this.
Yeah.
Dylan.
All right. Last but not least.
I motion to adjourn.
Joe. Voting to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.